roll shoulders up and back, pull belly in, exhale, hinge over right leg. Try to even out the hips to the best of your ability. See if you can let the elbows lift so they're pointing up instead of down. So that down shape is that thing I talked about at the very beginning of class where we're all collapsed. We're trying to expand the front side, just the way we were on the bolster. All right, we're moving into standing splits, and it's up to you if you want to use hands or not. If you're not using hands, a micro bend in the right leg to lift up. Stay as long as you like. If you're using hands, maybe you're playing with balancing. I'd like to add the opportunity to do handstand practice if you like that here. And if you want to add something else besides handstands, a wonderful option is just to do the calf raises. So we have left leg up. So you guys who do handstand, just go ahead. And if you're trying the calf raise, it looks like this. Right leg lifts or right toe lifts. Right heel. And we come up on these calf raises, really good for isolating that calf. So that was 2 or 3. We'll try to do 7 more, making it a total of 10 calf raises if you're doing those. If you're doing your handstand, you just keep powering away, being mindful. And you might try the idea of knowing that the left leg is already lifted, can you just add the right leg? So instead of doing like a whole big jump, just think of lifting the right leg. We'll do about 2 more. And we all meet back at the front of the mat, right leg down, left leg is lifted. 3 descents in Kundalini. So walk your hands away, look forward with a flat back as you inhale. As you exhale, cross, bend, and lower. Inhale, kick it back up. Exhale, cross, bend, and lower. 1 more, take it up. And then come down and hold. And of course, we'll go through the whole thing to make it a little more challenging. All right, you can just hover here or move along with me. Hands to heart. Separate body from the right thigh, but keep the bend in the leg. Now lift your left hip quite a bit. Separate the legs so you're not holding on to anything, and then dip down even lower. Lift that left hip. Hands to the floor. Release all the way to seated. Ardha Matsyendrasana. Once you're there, notice how that right hip is lifted. Let's go ahead. Squish it down a little bit. So you do some shimmying. If it's not going down, extend your left leg long. It's the same thing. You'll get the same benefit. Ankle and knee meeting. Big inhale to lift. On the exhale, look over your right side. Now work with your very purposeful breath. Maybe as you breathe in, you say something nice, like what a beautiful day. Maybe as you breathe out, wish goodness to everyone in their day. We'll do 2 more like that. Now coming back to center. Let's let the knees come together for Gomukhasana. So that would be right knee on top of left. Again, I want to be in a place where that right hip is, if it's not touching the floor, it's almost touching the floor. If it's super high like this, I would switch it out to extend the left leg long so that there's more of a sense of stability here in the seated spot. We'll take eagle arms, left arm on top, once or twice. Now snuggle the left shoulder down, big inhale to lift up, pull the belly in, and as you exhale, hinge forward. This may be a good place for a block right in front of your knees. There's many options here. You could stop at the knees, you could stop at the block, or some will just go all the way to the floor. But as you go to the floor, this is where we balance truth, integrity, with what we think a pose should look like. So if we have in our mind that no matter what, the forearms should come to the floor, but if I lift my hips up to get there, that's something else. I want to keep that right hip down and stop in the physical place where I can maintain integrity. And that's offering me a sense of safety and benevolence in my body as well. Let's just take another nice benevolent thought. Maybe wishing that everyone were in a position to do a yoga class and have a physical body that moved like this. There's always a place for benevolent thought. Come on back up, and we'll release the arms. Hinge back just a tiny bit so that we can take our legs into Agni Stambhasana. That's where we stack the right shin on top of the left. So many options here. Maybe a block right underneath the right knee. If that still doesn't feel good, feel free to pull the heels in. It becomes more of a half lotus. Or maybe you take an easy sitting shape. Inhale to roll the shoulders up and back. Exhale, hinge forward. So your hips should be talking to you. I hope in a good way. Breathing in and out. All right, let's walk ourselves back up. Taking a little twist to the right. We'll hinge back to take hold of the outside of the right foot if that's available. If it's not available, then just bend the knee and you can twist looking to your right. So plenty of options here. I'm going to walk us through a half kind of Purvottanasana pose or reverse table. You can stay just as you are. This is perfect. Maybe you move on a little bit with me if you're moving on. We start to come back, releasing the right forearm towards the earth. Now notice that my arm is perpendicular to my mat. That's important. And then we plant the left foot like a reverse table. Now you'll have to be very mindful and go slowly here because you want to pay attention to right shoulder and right lats. Pushing down into the earth to lift the hips up. Already I'm talking to my right shoulder. Is this okay? And for me it is. So I'm going to lift my drishti up to my right foot and keep the right hip as lifted as I can. Another big breath. And then we lower back down, releasing everything, come forward, and we find this very low boat pose. Now pull both knees in, keeping the shoulders high. Come into what shape might look a little bit like happy baby. Keep the right arm and the right leg connected in the sense that they're both up. Extend left leg and left arm, but don't drop the shoulders. And then we alternate. Left arm, left leg comes back. Extend right. Opposite. So it's like we come through this half happy baby each time. It's also like those alligator chops that we do. But we're never letting the shoulders come down. We're never letting the legs touch. Just keep going back and forth. And we'll do 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Coming into a crunching shape like this. So we have both hands facing down like a bridge pose. Knees are bent. And then we simply rock back, crunching up for reverse crunch and back down. Come up for reverse crunch and back down. And we've got 8 more of those. Up and down. Try to use your breath as you move through. Don't hold your breath. 5, 6, 7, last one, 8. Hover and hold in this crunch, pushing into your hands, keeping the knees tucked. And now roll down, bridge pose. Again, palms facing down, heels close to the hips. Inhale, tuck the pelvis, lift the hips up. And exhale, lower down. We'll do 2 more. Inhale, lift. Exhale, lower. 1 more up. And down. Hug the knees in. Rock and roll it up. Shooting yourself forward and coming into downward facing dog. Nice big breath. In. And out. Left leg lifts. Stack the hips. Bend the knee. Look over the right side. So we're looking for our foot. If it's not there, we're imagining it. Flipping, staying, coming out, maybe side plank. Big open heart. Come on back down. Going opposite direction. Left leg underneath. Lifting up and opening. Come on back. Left knee to nose, forward in plank pose. Exhale, one-legged dog. Left knee to nose forward in plank. Exhale, dog. And then we have one more and we hold it. So left knee to nose forward. Now tuck and round. The idea here is we're creating so much space that we can just plant the foot, drop down the right knee. Inhale, lift up, maybe flipping the palms as you open your big heart, pulling left hip crease back. And then instead of sinking into the right knee, think of lifting up from the right knee all the way up to your fingertips. Draw hands behind you, left thumb on top interlaced. Shrug the shoulders up. And then let the arms come back down the right leg. So we're opening up into this kind of back bendy place. Now wherever you go, far or not far, let's keep the open front side. Coming back up, extending left leg long. We won't stay long. We'll stay long in Hanuman, but not with the arms like this. And then hinging forward. And now use your hands to help facilitate a deeper, safer, quote unquote, better Hanuman. Moving into the one that's right for you at this given moment. Pulling left hip crease back as you lift your heart. Finding Ujjayi breath. And thinking benevolent thoughts. Again, when I'm doing poses that feel good, I like to wish that everybody were in a position to find a physical feeling good in their body. Let's take one more. Now again, we tippy toe the left foot back into square kneeling, getting the right leg prepared for warrior one, pivoting the toes out, then inhale, lift up, and again, maybe we flip the palms to face the back. Now think about the left leg in warrior one. We're trying to ideally come into a shape where the left thigh is coming towards parallel. The right pinky toe is really working as a kickstand. Hips are looking more or less forward. There's always a slight shift to the right here. Big inhale to lift up. Let's take hold of the right wrist. Give yourself a nice big pull and then bow off to the left side. So this is where you have to pay attention. For some reason here, the left hip comes forward when we bow and the left knee comes in. So go back to thinking of integrity of the pose. It may mean backing out a tiny bit, which is fine. Now let's come back to center. We find right arm on top of left once or twice for eagle arms. Snuggle right shoulder down. Keep that left thigh coming towards parallel. Elbows only. Inhale, lift. Exhale, lower. Take another one. Inhale up. Exhale down. So just the elbows, take it up. And this time as you come down, let's release everything. Arms come behind you again, left thumb on top. Shrug the shoulders. Find a nice back bend here. So drawing a line down the right leg. Pay attention, left knee wants to collapse inward. See if you can find the integrity here by not going so deeply maybe. Now we keep all that front space. Hinge forward inside left knee. If your shoulders say it's okay, you can let the arms lift. But pay attention breath to that because the shoulders, it can be precarious because of the nature, the anatomy nature of the shoulder. The bowl that holds the shoulder, that holds the arm right here, is much shallower than, say, the hip. So that gives us mobility, but it also takes away some stability. Making sure you're center of the mat. If you're not, pull left hip crease back or walk left foot out to the left. All right, last one here. Big inhale as we make our way back up, releasing everything to step to the back of the mat. Separated feet, big wide toes, hands at hips. Roll the shoulders up and back. Inhale here. Strong belly as you exhale, hinge forward. So we use the paraspinal muscles instead of counterbalancing with the hips back. So keep the hips right over the ankles. Come down. We'll invert the palms and step on the palms. If your hands don't reach, maybe you have your blocks and you do the same thing. You just invert the palms and push down. Just be mindful not to push too much weight into the tops of the wrists there. Wherever you are, let the head be heavy. Maybe shake it yes and no. That's always a good indication that it's pointing downward, which is what we want. Shifting slightly into the toes. Last breath here. We'll release, taking the hands out from the feet. Come up halfway as you step feet together. Squat down for chair, and then inhale to lift up. Shoulders coming over the hips. This time we shift the weight back into the heels. Let's take our prayer twist left. As you prayer twist, be mindful of that right hip coming forward. We keep the right hip crease back, and we can stay here. Maybe you separate the arms, or maybe you take your balancing pose. Technically, we're balancing just on the right arm, but honestly, I think we're also twisty. There's no reason not to add the left arm. And if your hands splay out, that's fine. And from here, we all meet back in that twisted chair pose. Unfurling, lifting all the way up to standing. Right hand at the hip, left fingers prepare for big toe pose. Again, maybe you just kick and grab your leg, or maybe you start with just the knee and you want to stay here today, or anything in between. Setting a drishti point, pulling the belly in. Those two things help so much with balance. It's crazy. So pull your belly in more than you think you need to. Now start to send knee or leg out to the left side. If you're finding this is super easy in balance, then you set your drishti off to the right. But if it's not easy, just leave your drishti forward. All right, knee or leg comes back to center. We release the hands, open our wings, point left toe, and ready for the big tilt. We walk forward, warrior three. So in this warrior three shape, right hip down, internal rotation in the right thigh. That's going to keep that hip down. Soft breath, lifting again by using those strong back muscles. So body, the torso is in the same plane as the leg. All right, let's take half moon. Left hand to floor or block. Trying to get an open space in the front side. So remember, it's all about expanding our heart, expanding our goodness, our love. Chandra Chapa, if you take it, bending the knee, and just be aware of habits in your thoughts. Last one. Extend leg long, tilt back, warrior two. So realign yourself in warrior two. We want to come into a place where the left thigh is coming towards parallel to the floor. Right thigh is right, pinky toe helping us. Drishti over the left fingertips. Reverse warrior, right arm down. Maybe left arm comes up. Stretching off to the right side. Now think strengthening pose. We take the right arm up, hold the shape. Keep everything as it is, but straighten the left leg. Releasing all the way. Pivot left toes in, wide legs. Roll shoulders up and back. Exhale, hinge forward. This time we keep the palms touching towards the floor. Fingertips are looking forward as we walk underneath. And in this walking place, stop as soon as the palm, the base of the palm starts to lift. That's an indication that's your stopping place. And then see if you can just bend the elbows like chaturanga and drop as if the crown of the head, we're going to come to the floor. Those of you who have a tripod headstand practice, this is the time to do it. If you're new to tripod headstand, it would be better to wait until we were in a class together, person to person, so that the teacher can guide you. But there is a nice option. So tripod headstand people, you're on your own. Start your work. Those of you who may not be comfortable doing tripod headstand at home, there's two things, or a couple things you do. You just come into your Upavishasana and maybe play with Bakasana. So something that leads to Bakasana through tripod headstand is the prep. So the prep for the tripod headstand, it looks like this. We come down, resting the knees on the elbows, and crown of the head is at the top of this triangle created by your hands at the base, and then the crown of the head touches the floor. I'm not putting a lot of weight in my head. I want to know that I can always lift up. Okay, that gives me control. And then you eventually find this sense of seesawing where we come forward, crown of the head, toes lift, come back, toes touch, head lifts. And then one day you come into a place where you lift both, head and toes, and that is Bakasana. So we'll all take 2 or 3 more breaths wherever we are. And let's meet up in that wide-legged forward fold. And just for the feel-good moment, we'll all take interlacing fingers around the neck, crown of the head towards the floor, hinging the weight forward into the toes a little bit, and then give yourself a nice pull here. So you want the crown of the head coming towards the floor. We don't want to have the cocked neck when we pull. So let the head be heavy, and then give yourself a nice decompression in those discs. Come up halfway. Walk yourself forward again. Here we are in those wide legs with plank pose. And we'll do 10 jacks here. 1, 2, 3, 4. Keep going. 5, 6, 7. Make sure your body's low. 9 and 10. Walk it back. Hands to the hips, little acclimating breath. And then inhale, lift up. Extend your arms long. Invert the arms. So we get this kind of shape. So by already having the elbows bending like this, we don't have to risk so much torquing in the shoulders as we draw the hands behind us. So maybe this is it right here. Maybe you get prayer, maybe opposite elbow, or hands to hips. They're all good. Either way, we're facing back to the front over the left leg. Roll shoulders up and back. Now do a little scan and look, and if your shoulders are coming so far forward because you want those hands to be in prayer shape, think about that. Let go of the prayer shape, expand your heart, then hinge forward over the left leg. So even as we hinge, the shoulders start to creep forward. So maybe once you're down there, you do a little scan and say, oh, I think I'm hinging too much. You come out of the hinge and expand your heart. So we give up, it's called vairagya, letting go of the idea that we think a pose should look a certain way. This is where we get to practice all good things for life off the mat. Maybe our ideas and our thoughts aren't the only ones. Maybe our way is not the only way. So let those things go. Ready? Let's move it into standing splits. With or without the arms. It doesn't matter. Just find something that works right now for you. Eventually, we all touch the floor. So if you're touching the floor, maybe you're working on balance. Maybe you're doing your 10 calf raises on the left side or 10 handstand jumps. And again, so think about this, handstanders. You've already got your right leg up. Can you think about just adding the left leg? So it doesn't have to be a big, powerful jump. You're just thinking of lifting the left leg up to join the right leg. Excuse me. We'll do about 3 more. And let's all meet back down in standing splits. It's left leg down, right leg up. Walk yourself forward so you find flat back as you inhale, look forward. Exhale, cross right leg, bend both knees. Inhale, right leg lifts. Exhale, cross, bend, and lower. Take 1 more. Inhale, lift. Exhale, cross, bend, and lower. Now we hold here, and you can just stay like this, hands to the floor. But if you're ready to move on, hands come to the heart. That's the hard part. Go ahead, separate body from thigh. Then separate both legs, but keep a nice bend in the knees. Now, the hard part again, right leg, right hip lifts up. Bend again, last breath. And we come all the way down to seated. Ardha Matsyendrasana. Left ankle, right knee, left hip coming towards the floor. Do some wiggling. If it's not happening, extend right leg. And you can do that for the remainder of all these poses, these seated poses. Inhale, lift. Exhale, twist left. Looking over left shoulder. Working with each breath, breathing in, is this okay? I'm offering goodness to my body. If it's not okay, I offer goodness by backing out. Take one more. Unfurling, left leg on top for Gomukhasana. And again, think of this. If this left hip is way high, no good. You need to do something else. Put something underneath it or extend the right leg. Right? And here we go into our eagle arms. Right arm on top once or twice. Snuggle right shoulder down. Big inhale to lift. Now pull your belly in. And as you exhale, be very aware of the feelings inside your body. If it feels good and maybe you're saying, ooh, right about there, then stop there. If you say, no, I need more, why do you need more? If you're one of those super duper flexible people who can't feel anything, yes, you need more. But sometimes we think we need more and we really don't. So finding viveka, which is keen discernment, to determine whether or not we're hurting ourselves or if we're doing good for our bodies. Again, it's this shifting of the habits of our thought patterns. And they're always open for change. And last breath. Making your way back up, release your arms, hinge back just enough so that we can release the legs into Agni Stambhasana. Left shin on top of right. Again, it may feel good to have something underneath the left knee or make another adjustment accordingly. Inhale, lift. Exhale, hinge forward. And a beautiful, beautiful stretch into the hips. And when we think about habit change, sometimes having a label to put on something is not always good, but in this case, it might be nice to be able to say, what group do I fit in the terms that the Buddha describes the kleshas? Are your natural reactions towards anger? Are they towards fatigue? Are they towards worry? Or are they towards doubt? And just knowing those, you can come into a place of changing them, or at least recognizing them, so that when that pops up and starts to disrupt your mind, you go, oh yeah, there's that worry thing again. All right, let's come on back up. And once again, we'll take a twist to the left. So if you can, you take the outside of the pinky foot, the left pinky, and twist open to your left. Nice big stretch. And maybe you want to stay here. If you're moving on, maybe you start moving with me and stop along the way. We come down. I'm going to take the forearm, left forearm, perpendicular to my body. Right foot comes down. So you can see how this is a version, if you will, or a variation of a reverse table. We push into the left forearm to lift. Already I'm paying attention to left shoulder and my left lat. If it's all good, I keep lifting left hip and shift my drishti up to my left foot. Last breath like that. Come on back down, unfurling yourself now and coming onto your belly. Once you're on your belly, we'll start with Sphinx pose. Elbows right underneath the shoulders, taking nice wide fingertips, rolling the shoulders up and back. Find that puffiness in your chest and feel as if you were going to drag your chest right between your arms. Now, if you feel any sense of discomfort in the lower back, best to tuck the toes, lift up and lengthen the tailbone, and then come back down. Maybe take some of the shape out. You may have to lower down even more. All right, big stretch. And now drag your hands to where your elbows were for a little cobra pose. We'll start with cobra test. In cobra, we want to make sure that the toenails are touching the floor. So make sure your toes are not tucked. Then lift up to a place where you know you can let go and hover and hold. Pay attention to those low back muscles that are helping to lift. Make sure there's no discomfort of crunching in the low back. Now replace the hands. We're still going to use those muscles, but we'll add hand strength. Arm strength. Squeeze the elbows in. Keep using those paraspinal muscles. Keep lifting. Open up. One more. Exhale, lower down. We'll take Makarasana in between. So Makarasana, the toes point out, and we create a pillow. Maybe you have a block instead to rest your third eye on. So it looks like this on the mat. The toes are pointed out. I'm resting my forehead right on my hands. The idea here is to lift the belly up, the diaphragm up, and so we're pushing into the belly, so the belly can't really do the breathing. Now come on back to center. Releasing arms out to the sides, airplane wings. Toenails are still touching. Now lift your beautiful heart. Come on up. Think of all the work it takes to be nice to everybody all the time. Now take the feet off. Lift a little more. Come up even higher. And release. Makarasana. Toes point out. Forehead on a pillow. Softness in your breath. All right, let's come on back up for bow pose. So we start by walking our feet really close together. There's this tendency for the knees to splay way out in bow pose. We want to try to keep them, they'll go a little wider than hips, but try to keep them close to the hips distance if you can. Reach around ankles, insteps, anywhere you can grab. If you're not grabbing, arms by your side, you're working way harder. First, just lift up. Go to the natural place, something that feels pretty good to you. Maybe you can roll a little forward. Now from here, kick, and notice when you kick, it pulls the chest up. Now try the opposite. Try lifting the chest and notice how much room there is in the legs to kick. Take another breath, just lifting up, squeezing everything center, and then let it go. Last Makarasana. Just be heavy for a moment. Softening up. Breathing in kindness. And then breathing out kindness towards other people. I come back to center. Tuck your toes under. We lift up, downward facing dog. Right leg lifts. Pigeon pose. Right knee to right wrist. Maybe you stay right here. Or if you feel good and you want to come lower, come lower. Those of you who don't do pigeon like that, you'll just lie down and take the reverse pigeon like this. Right leg bent, shoot the gap. But find a sense of softness. I'm going to treat this as if we were all doing the traditional swan pose like this. Maybe coming forehead to the floor. Allow the body weight to help to bring you into a place that might be a little deeper. Now be aware of your thoughts here.